Yes, Aryan, define species.
Species are the group of individuals of their same kind from which they are reproduced.
Define reproduction.
Reproduction is the process in which the young ones are produced.
Define asexual reproduction.
Asexual reproduction is a mode of reproduction in which only single parent is involved.
Define sexual reproduction.
Sexual reproduction is the reproduction in which both the parents is involved and the fusion of male and female gametes take place.
Define zygote.
Zygote is the fusion of male and female gamete.
What is the difference between asexual and sexual?
In sexual reproduction, both parents are involved. In asexual reproduction, only one parent is involved. In sexual reproduction, fusion of gametes take place. Whereas in asexual reproduction, the fusion of gametes doesn't take place.
Define budding.
Budding is the process in which it is usually common in the hydra, in which hydra produces a bud through which the bud gets into its shape and develop into hydra and then gets separated to form a new hydra.
Define gametes.
Gametes, there are two gametes, male and female gamete. The male gamete known as sperm and female gamete are known as egg, which together fuse to make zygote.
Okay. Define external fertilization.
External fertilization is the fertilization that takes place outside the female body. The example of these are aquatic animals like frog and fish.
Define internal fertilization.
Internal fertilization is a kind of fertilization in which the fertilization takes place inside the female body.
Give example.
For example, internal fertilization में bacteria and
Bacteria.
human body and cow, goat, sheep, etc.
Yes. What is the difference between oviparous and viviparous animals?
Oviparous animals are the animals those lay eggs, whereas viviparous animals are the animals that give birth to young ones.
Discuss about the male reproductive organs.
Male reproductive organs are penis, sperm duct, and testes, and the male gamete is sperm.
Okay. Discuss about the female reproductive organs.
Female reproductive organs are ovaries, vagina, uterus, and fallopian tube.
What is the structure of an egg?
An egg is a large single cell structure. It is large than a sperm, and it is larger than sperm, and it provides food and nutrition to the baby which develops under it.
It is like the sperm and it contains large quantity of food to provide nutrition to developing embryo until it starts receiving nutrition from the mother. Okay, mark the question mark. Define fetus.
Any individual before the birth is known as fetus.
Define pregnancy.
Pregnancy is the period from the fertilization to the birth of a baby. It lasts up to 9 months.
Okay. Discuss the life cycle of a butterfly.
Butterfly. Firstly, the caterpillar. Firstly, the larva, then the caterpillar.
Yes, pass it to Aryan. Mark the cross here.
First of all, there is a caterpillar which takes some time in its caterpillar life, and then it makes it cocoon, and the cocoon when gets developed, it get cracked to form a butterfly.
Firstly, there is an egg, and from the egg there is a larva.
इसमें caterpillar से बने गिरती है.
Discuss the life cycle of a frog.
Firstly, there is tadpole and then frog.
Define metamorphosis.
The change in the body, the growing stage of the baby to the adult stage with drastic changes known as metamorphosis. It is mainly seen in the frog and butterfly.
Define sex chromosome.
Sex chromosomes are the chromosomes that determine the sex of the baby.
How many sex chromosomes are there in our body?
23.
Define hormones.
Hormones are the chemical substances that are secreted by the ductless gland called the endocrine glands.
Okay. Discuss the location of pituitary gland.
Ma'am, at the base of the brain.
Okay, what is the location of thyroid gland?
At the neck throat.
Okay, what is the location of adrenal gland?
Near the kidneys.
What is the location of pancreas?
In the liver, near the liver.
Testes.
Male genital organ.
Ovaries.
In the pelvic region of females.
Okay, what are the hormones secreted by adrenal gland?
Sorry.
What is the hormone secreted by adrenal gland?
The hormone that is secreted by adrenal gland are also known as fight and flight hormone, and they are known as adrenaline.
Okay, what is the hormone secreted by ovaries?
Ovaries produce estrogen and progesterone.
What is the function of ovaries?
The function of ovaries to give egg, and one ovary give single ovary give one egg in a 1 month.
Discuss the function of ovaries.
There are two uses of each hormone secreted by the ovaries. Estrogen helps in the development of secondary sexual characters, whereas progesterone helps in the development of uterus.
Okay. Define puberty. Define puberty.
Puberty is a stage of life in which a child body is converted into a human body with the drastic changes like Adam's apple, increase in height, etc.
Define primary sex organs.
The primary sex, mainly there are two primary sex organs: testes and ovaries.
Define menstruation.
Menstruation is the period. Menstruation is the period of time in which a female body,
The loss of blood.
The loss of blood in the female body is known as menstruation. It starts from the age of the puberty and ends till 60 years.
Okay. Define menopause.
Menopause is the situation in the woman when the loss of blood on the menstruation cycle stops permanently.
What is the effect of drugs?
It usually blocks nervous system, circulatory system, and it is very addictive, so that its habit cannot be gone easily.
Define light.
Light is a phenomenon through which we can see objects.
What is the reflection of light?
The bouncing back of light that is strike from an object is called a reflection of light.
Define reflected ray.
Reflected ray is the ray that is reflected from the surface of the mirror.
Define angle of incidence.
Angle of incidence is the angle between incident ray and normal.
Define angle of reflection.
Angle of reflection is the angle between the normal and the reflected ray.
Okay. What are the laws of reflection?
The laws of reflection are the incident ray, normal and reflected ray lie on the same surface, and angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection.
Discuss the characteristics of image formed by a plane mirror.
The characteristics of image formed are the size of the object in the mirror is same. The image is laterally inverted. It is the virtual image which can't be taken on the screen.
Define parallel beam of light.
Parallel beam of light is a beam of light in which the rays of light are parallel to each other.
What is the difference between regular reflection and diffuse reflection?
Regular reflection is also known as diffuse. Regular reflection is seen in reflecting surfaces. In this reflection, the rays are parallel to each other. In irregular reflection, these are seen in diffuse surfaces, and the rays in these are not parallel to each other. The example of regular reflection is water, and the irregular reflection example is rippling water.
But what is another name of regular reflection?
Specular reflection.
Okay. Define dispersion of light.
Dispersion of light is the phenomenon of splitting of light into its constituent colors. It is done by a dispersing prism.
Define reflection.
Reflection is the phenomenon of the change in the path of the direction of the light from the one medium.
Why sunlight is not colored?
Because the air does not have the property of splitting the sunlight into its constituent colors.
Define cornea.
Cornea is the front bulging part of the eye which covers the eye.
Define blind spot.
Blind spot is the spot in which, when an image is formed, the image can be seen over there. For example, our nose can be seen through our eyes, but there is an angle so that the blind spot can give sensation to see it.
Image forming on the spot are not visible. This is wrong. Mark cross. Define optic nerve.
Optic nerve is the nerve that connects brain to the eye and send the messages.
Send the visual message to brain from the retina. Okay. Define lens.
The lens is the black part. The lens is the part of an eye which is held by a ciliary muscle, and its main work is to increase or decrease the height and size of the image formed on the retina.
Basically, it focuses light to form an image on the retina. Define vitreous humor.
Vitreous humor is a dense jelly-like humor that is present in the eye.
What is the main function of vitreous humor? Yes, pass to Dinkar.
Vitreous humor basically helps in the formation of the image, and it also helps. It also protects the eye, and it controls the functioning of the eye, whether is eye working correctly or not.
Basically, it helps in focusing the rays clearly on the retina. Okay, mark the question mark, both of them. Define short-sightedness.
Short-sightedness is the usually a kind of disease or illness in which eye can see its near point and can see far point only.
Okay. Define optical aid.
Optical aids includes lens and bifocal lens. In the lens, we can correct the eye by placing lens in it, or bifocal lens. Bifocal lens are the lens that are injected into eye by the laser and operations.
Okay. Define combustion.
The combustion is a process in which a substance is burned with presence of oxygen.
What are the conditions necessary for combustion?
There are three conditions necessary for the combustion, that are presence of a combustible substance, presence of sputter of combustion, and the attainment of ignition and carrying temperature.
Okay. Define rapid combustion.
Rapid combustion is a combustion in which combustion is take place very rapidly. For example, when we start a gas stove from a lighter.
Discuss the various reason of candle flame, various zones of candle flame.
There are three zones of candle flame: innermost, middle, and outer. The innermost zone is black, and in this no combustion occurs. In the middle zone, it produces yellowish flame and is a partial combustion area. And the outermost zone, it is blue in color, and complete combustion takes place, and it is the more hot region than the other two regions of the candle flame.
Discuss the various kinds of fuels.
There are three kinds of fuels: solid fuel, gaseous fuel, and liquid fuel. Solid fuels contains coal and charcoal, and gaseous fuel contains methane and LPG, and liquefied fuels contains petrol and diesel.
Okay. Define calorific value.
A calorific value is basically the amount of heat that is produced by the unit quantity of a fuel. It is measured in kilojoule and kilocalories.
Define global warming.
Global warming, the contamination of air through various harmful gases and smokes and other polluted air is known as global warming.
Define explosion.
Explosion is the process, it is a type of combustion in which a large amount of gas is involved with the production of heat, light, and few amount of sound is also produced.
Define natural resources.
The resources which are given by the God and are in the type of nature. Natural resources are those resources which are naturally given to us. They are not man-made.
Which are obtained from the nature. Okay. Define what is the difference between exhaustible and inexhaustible?
Exhaustible resource can be exhausted and does not be renewed, whereas the non-exhaustible are not exhausted by the human consumption.
Okay. Define carbonization.
Carbonization is a slow process of turning off wood into coal.
Okay. Define organic substance.
Organic substances are that are present in agriculture, mainly agriculture field, like plants, weeds, and earth forms.
Basically, that are derived from the living organism. What are the inorganic substance?
The substance that are not organic substance, for in simple ways, they does not contain any humus, any living substance.
Define viscous.
A viscous is any dark colored, false smelling substance.
Any thick and sticky is said to be viscous. Define destructive distillation.
Destructive distillation is the process in which a coal is distilled with absence of oxygen, through which it is separated into its three constituents, which is coke, coal gas, and coal tar.
Define refining.
Refining is the process of purifying the petroleum.
Okay. Define conservation of energy.
Conservation of wise and judicious use of energy is known as conservation of energy.
Define tidal energy.
Tidal energy is the energy that is generated by the tides or the waves produced by the water or in oceans.
Define fossil fuel.
Fossil fuels are the fuels which are the dead remains of the plants and animals that for thousands and millions of years ago, and there are three kinds of fossil fuel: coal, petroleum, and natural gas.
Very good.